So I start off in black and white, these monochrome shapes. Literally just, just kind of going in and freestyling these kind of shapes. And what do those relationships look like? It's just something I find really organic and quite satisfying. Because my background's all in graphic design and it's not a kind of traditional sort of fine arty printmaking background. Graphic design's nothing more really than a kind of organisation and a hierarchy of elements on a page in a composition. And that's kind of essentially what these are. It's just thinking about the visual hierarchies of certain elements. It's quite playful, it's very analogue. I spent far too many years working on computers at big magazines and newspapers in London without doing anything physical with my hands. So it's just really nice to kind of get back to being quite playful. Anytime I get a spare 5 minutes, I'm just kind of scribbling compositional sketches and stuff. Then I'll work them up on the computer and print them out and use that as a template for the final imagery. That's the thing I love about print, silkscreen printing. That juxtaposition of those lovely, lovely kind of big expanses of flat colour and then these hand-rendered, hand-painted textures that I drop on top of it. I like that juxtaposition of the form and the kind of surface pattern design.
I'm really inspired by my surroundings and particularly West Penwith. I like the drama of the skies and the landscape. I like the starkness of the landscape, and I particularly like the hedgerows, the gorse and the moorlands. I like exploring different print-making techniques. I've recently done a day photopolymer printing, which I'm really excited to take forward and experiment further with. So my botanical monotypes are done using dried foliage and flowers. Use them as a mask for making the print, and they might have several layers of colour. I do monoprinting, which is done using a plastic coated card. I incise into the plate and then apply ink and then wipe it off with rags and various tools. Dog grooming brush, toothbrushes, pieces of scrim, anything that's at hand. When I'm happy with the plate, that's when I'll put it through the press and make my print.
This exhibition I spent even more time than usual immersed in woodlands, listening to birds singing and watching the changing seasons as they turn from winter to spring. I am a printmaker with a fairly broadly based practice, often focusing on botanical monoprinting and lino printing, but for this exhibition I made a series of drawings. Which were then transferred to silk screens. I love combining processes, so I screen printed the birds over mono printed backgrounds and then over some abstract backgrounds, adding some leaf prints to the top. This playful process feels like collage and offers a lot of opportunity to explore my creativity. The Trelisic estate is rich in wildlife. I was spoilt for choice, but focused mostly on woodland birds. Of particular interest was the lesser spotted woodpecker, which is quite rare in Cornwall but has been seen at Trelisic.
When I went to art college, my dissertation was on the ephemeral, and I've always been interested in things that change, that don't stay static, that are always in constant change of a state of flux. These pieces have been thrown on the wheel and then altered. They will then be taken to my electric kiln downstairs, where they'll be bisque-fired. They then get glazed, and a second firing to 1200 degrees, and then we get the finished product. So this is one of my finished pieces. It's been created and glazed, you can see from the coloring, and my ideas are to try to replicate the surf, the ocean. So I became interested in the base of the North Cliffs in Cornwall, where the tide comes and goes, and it never stays the same. It's always a positive, exciting place to be, where the land and the sea meet. And I enjoy that surf coming up over the rocks, understanding that there's animals and wildlife that live down there. And every day is different when you go and you visit.
I chose to take a degree in fine art textiles at Goldsmiths because I adore the seductively beautiful fabrics that you see in Renaissance portraits. But rather than work in oils portraying these fabrics, I chose to work in the silks, the satins, the velvets themselves. I hand dye all of the fabrics I use. I'm exploring aspects of the natural world. I have 3 acres of garden and have the luxury that I can bring plants into the studio to work directly from them. The luxury of a collage is that I can arrange and rearrange the elements of the piece. The particularly unique quality of my art is the shifting light. As a viewer walks past, the light and shadow change. This is something that can only be experienced by seeing an original. And Cornwall Crafts has a wonderful gallery at Trelisic and gives the perfect opportunity to see my art. I hope you'll visit.
I do jewellery and artwork. Both are very much inspired by where I live and where I work. And these landscapes are very much incorporated in the way I work with the material, with silver and gold. So the jewellery is made by recycling. It's all about repurposing material. I encourage people to bring their old pieces. If they have unused jewellery, heirloom pieces, they're too small, they don't like the design, they bring it to me. We discuss together a new design, something fresh. We work in a collaboration. Background is actually in contemporary art, so I studied painting and sculptures and installations, and later in life I became a jeweler. This bangle is one of my favorites. It's got plenty of scrap metal in there. There's chains, there's ear hooks, and the patterns are very much influenced from the rock pools, from maybe harsh Cornish landscape, a bit edgy. So this piece is made of 100% scrap pieces. You can see chains, ear clasps, we've got the gorgeous turquoise, love to work with colour. This necklace, you can see the lines, which are all made by recycling broken chains basically, and there's some pearls there. Some of the landscape here, they're incorporated in the metal, and then it becomes something you could wear every day. This is a new design, it's asymmetrical. It's got these beautiful emeralds and some vintage green beads, and the lines are flowing. When I started making the necklace, I didn't quite know how it's going to look at the very end. So it's just quite a playful approach to design.